Three ways to become wealthy, right? You got to own
Yeah.
stock, you got to own real estate, and you got to be your own boss. One deal, $8,000.
Wow.
I just realized when I make my calls, more things happen.
Welcome to another episode of Mike Drop. Today I am here with Aaron Visco. Aaron, welcome. How are you?
Mike, super nice to see you. Good morning.
So tell everyone out there in the real estate world who you are and where do you currently reside?
Absolutely. So my office is based out of Jersey City, New Jersey. My house is about 30 minutes away in Morris County, New Jersey, and I've been in real estate with Keller Williams since 2010. I started
Wow,
with
2010. Okay. So let me ask you, what did you do before you got into real estate?
Before I got into real estate, I got out of college. I was doing some bartending. I got into the entrepreneur bug. So I opened like a little cleaning business, but I was pretty dirty, so that didn't work. And I did some car sales, but didn't like that either.
What didn't you like about car sales?
You know, I worked for Subaru, and the buyer for Subaru is more savvy than most of the employees. So they knew what the car was, right? So they would come in and just ask me questions I had no idea what I was talking about. So
all right,
it was a lot of waiting and standing around and kicking tires.
Absolutely. So what's after car sales?
Yeah, after car sales, Mike, I was a little bit waffling. I have a degree in business, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I always visioned myself like dressing nicely and wearing a tie and stuff like that. and I stumbled upon Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate with. And in that book, it mentions three ways to become wealthy, right? You got to own stock, you got to own real estate, and you got to be your own boss. Yep. So I was looking around. I was like, 2 out of 3 was a realtor, right? You learn how to manage yourself, and you learn how to, purchase real estate. So I was like, all right, let me do that.
So I guess when you got into real estate, did you have an idea of what you thought real estate agents actually do? Because so many people, they have this vision of what real estate agents they think they do, and then you get into real estate and realize what you actually have to do to be successful. So was there a gap when you got started between what you envisioned a real estate agent that was successful did versus what now they have to do?
Yeah. I didn't know what I had to do until many years into the business, but I didn't have many preconceived notions either, right? I wasn't watching HGTV and like, oh, you just go walk around, right? I didn't know anything. I just started at Weicker Realtors or like sit at the desk, go sit some open houses and hope some things happened. And nothing really happened for the first year.
So what was your first year like in real estate? Because obviously there's a lot of new agents that are getting into the business.
Yep. One deal, $8,000.
Wow.
My company took half of it. And my first year I was in and out. I wasn't like fully committed my first year. Right. So I was also doing like some painting on the side and a couple bartending shifts and my oversized suit from Macy's, and I was just walking around like a chicken, with its head cut off.
So what made you go back the second year after selling one house? Did you really believe that you could be successful, or were you just a glutton for punishment, or a little bit of both?
Everything else was hourly rate, right? So I was doing some contracting work. Like my buddy owned a painting business, and we were doing some like tank cleaning. And I was sitting out there in the winter, freezing my butt off. And I'm just like, you're calculating how much you make per hour. It's like, oh man, I just need to go sell one house, right? One house, and I'll be good for like a few months here. So I was like, let me try this. And so it just kept on going back. I was like, I got to figure this out. So
how far in your career did you actually start to believe that, like I can do it? Because I always tell people there's 3 parts. Part 1 is where you actually have to believe that it's possible. Step 2 is where you actually start to believe that you can do it. And obviously the third phase is when you start to actually believe that you're worth it. So how many years was it in the business before you actually started to realize, I personally can do it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to dissuade the viewers, but for me personally, it took me a lot of years. Man. I would say for the first, probably till like 2015, until I kind of figured out, maybe a similar story as a lot of people. I stumbled into a Mike Ferry event, and it was like, my eyes lit up a little bit to see a way of doing business, right? Like what it actually took. And then, you have some success, you do some sales and you gain some confidence, but it was still like, it was always like, oh, I don't belong here. It was always like, still, okay, I'm only doing this temporarily until I find something else. This was never like a career until, a couple years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so cool. I'm fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work with Aaron, and it's just been interesting to see in the last 6 months how you've transformed. I mean, your confidence seems higher. I mean, your scripts are better. I mean, your business is booming. Tell us a little bit about what's changed over the last 6 months for you personally.
So over the last 6 months, I mean, we've been working together pretty aggressively, right? So I've been through a couple different kind of coaching programs and stuff like that. But working with you directly has given me personally a direct insight into kind of like how your business runs, which has given me a different perspective. So I've always known that real estate is a system. Like, I know systems are extremely important, and I didn't have any. So, or I had my own, right?
Right. What was that like coming down and spending some time with my team and actually seeing what it's like to work in real estate? Because what a lot of people don't realize is that if you come to my office, you have a morning shift from 8 to 12, you eat lunch, and then everyone is back in there from like 2 to 6. And, for me, 2 to 7. What was that like seeing that you literally have 2 shifts in real estate? Because that's really the thing that really stops a lot of agents from having what they want compared to where they're at, is they're just prospecting in the morning, not realizing that in the afternoon, that's where most of the money's made.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I always knew about the 2-shift theory, but it was always like a theory in my mind. So to actually see people executing that plan, it just kind of made it more real, right? And I'm still in that process. I do it much more often now, right? I'm still better at it, and it just made it real, seeing it. Yeah.
Right. I know one of the things that we've been working on this year is obviously working at building out your database, dividing people into A's, B's, and C's, and really starting to segment that. How was that transition from focusing completely on calling people that you don't know to focusing on really calling people that you do know and actually like you?
Yeah. So past clients and COI, I know they're different things. And I know they're so important. I do a big past client business. So because I value the relationship, right?
Yeah.
But knowing how to call them, when to call them, and in what cadence, and providing more value, right? That's what we've been working on. The scripting to talk to the past clients it's really been a game changer, and you still struggle with it a little bit mentally. But
everybody does. I was doing a conference call for a Keller Williams group. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 days ago, and someone asked me, "What has been the hardest part of your career?" I started laughing, and I was like, when I actually started to call my past clients, because for me, I was trained to go out, get a deal, give it to my assistant, and go find another one. I never heard any of my coaches. I'm not saying they didn't say it, but it was never said in a way that I was able to like truly receive it. Like, call your past clients, call them consistently, ask for referrals, add value. And I remember having to call back people that like I hadn't talked to in like 9 years. And it's like, "Hi, this is your real estate agent, Mike Putnam. I was kind enough to sell you a house 9 years ago, and I said I would keep in contact, and I didn't. And I was just calling to apologize. I hope you can forgive me." I mean, that was probably one of the hardest parts of my career, because I could talk to anybody cold, but to talk to past clients that you did business with after you didn't call them, I mean, that literally was probably one of the most painful portions of my business. But I think for me, the dynamic that changed was that I looked at the 2,600 homes that I had sold, and I had my assistant look up how many people had actually bought or sold a house without me in the previous 18 months. And it was $5.4 million of lost commissions, almost 100, I think it was, in 94 deals.
Wow.
And that was when I really started to realize, wow, like if I don't call these people, I'm losing almost twice as much money as I'm making calling people that I don't know. So for me, that was an eye opener. Have you started to kind of, I guess, monetarily gauge what that looks like long term of being able to scale out and stay in contact with your clients?
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge number. So I haven't ran the numbers per se. I know the ratios that to the 10% of however many people you have should execute on the deal. So I know that in theory. I've just been focusing. I just realized when I make my calls, more things happen, right? When I
Yeah.
call my past clients and I with the scripting that we're working with, and not just as a business call, do you know anyone who wants to buy or sell?
Right.
It's more adding value. It's more real, right? It's just more like, hey, I'm here for you whenever you need me, whenever the time is right.
Yeah.
Give them the market update, and then take it from there.
Absolutely. Because I think so many people forget that. I mean, the value isn't just in the client or your centers of influence. The value is in all the people that they know. I think that was the part that like I was missing because, it's like, everybody knows statistically 6 to 10 people that are going to buy or sell. The only problem is that when they hear it, they just don't think of us.
Yeah.
So when you understand that every person that you sell a house to, every person you know represents 6 to 7 sales a year, you start to look at it a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And, I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and we were looking at how many hours it took them to set an appointment. And I think this year, we've been working together 3 months, and it takes them right around 18 hours to get one appointment. And it was funny that I was letting them know that one referral, in essence, equals 18 hours of calls. And that's what I mean. We don't value that part. I mean, if you can get an extra 2 or 3 referrals a week, that's the equivalent of almost adding an extra 20, 40, 60 hours of additional prospecting that you didn't have to do.
Yeah, or just getting your life back, right?
So let me ask you, how do you do that? Because obviously one of the biggest things that most people struggle with is having a reasonable work life and a reasonable family life. How do you manage that? Because I think for being a successful agent, obviously that's probably one of the hardest parts.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, I still struggle with this. I'm in the midst of this really like neck deep right now because I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Right. Yeah.
Well, I got an 11-year-old, 8 and 2. So trust me, I get it. And I think, one of the things that me and Aaron had talked about early in the year is I'm like, look, you need to get an assistant. You're starting to produce. And if you don't get an assistant, your lead generation is starting to become lead servicing. And obviously you had that experience before you hired an assistant. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what that was like, knowing that you need an assistant, but not finding the value in your mind that you should do it. And it took you a couple months before you finally pulled the trigger.
Yeah. So it didn't take me a couple months, Mike. It took me a couple of years. So I've been trying to hire. And when I say trying, I've been trying up here, right, for probably the last 3 to 4 years. My business for the last 3 to 4 years has been 28 to 33 deals and can't break out. And statistically, they say, right, that's where you kind of max out yourself without going crazy, without working 90 hours per week. So I couldn't do it. I tried multiple times. There was always like, oh, you don't have enough money, or you don't have enough deals, or this is going wrong, or whatever it was. Or just scared, right? I was too scared because I knew that once I had to become a different person, right? I had to become more responsible. I had to become like there was someone else relying on me, and I couldn't mentally deal with it. And just recently, with some pushing and some mindset shifts and whatnot, I pulled the trigger, right? I had a full-time assistant and right? I said had because it didn't work out. So I'm working. I put the ad out and I hired the first person that came in. Like literally, because I was going away on a trip. I was going to Portugal. I went to Portugal 3 weeks ago, in mid-June. So 2.5 months ago, I'm on track to do like 50, 60 deals, right? So 2.5 months ago, I'm like, holy shit, I'm going away for 2 weeks in June. What am I going to do? Right? I need to hire someone immediately.
Yeah,
so
I remember.
I put the ad up, hired someone, the wrong person.
Yeah.
But when it was like, taking that limitless pill.
Yeah.
Once she was in place and just that leverage of having someone that you could just turn to and be like, all right, you're going to do this, and I'm going to actually prospect. I definitely made another way more than what I paid, put it like that.
Oh,
And
people don't
just,
realize. I mean, you're losing almost 4, 5, 6 checks a month,
yeah.
by not having an assistant, and I think that was one of the things that I saw in you is that when you actually got to do the things that you're good at and had someone else handling it, I mean, your business started to explode. I think at one point you were at what, 13, 14, 15 pendings?
Yeah, I mean, you only have so many hours in the day, and once you have 10 pendings and a couple actives and 8 coming soons, and then the ones that are everything else you need to follow up on, it just eats it, right? It's like there's no every day is the checklist. So giving that checklist away to someone else, it just made me realize it's not a cost, right? It's a benefit, right? Yes, you pay, but the return on what you pay far supersedes, and it took so long to figure it out.
It takes a lot of people a long time.
Yeah.
It's so funny because people are like, I don't know how to hire an assistant. I'm like, here's the ad. Put it here. Here's the application. I mean, you don't really have to do it. The only thing is that you actually have to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you actually have to put the ad out. You actually have to go out and interview people. And I think most people with the first assistant, they hire the first thing that flies at them. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But I think, knowing what you know now, what do you think will be different the second time around in terms of how you hire people? Because I think it's such a critical point that just because you hire an assistant and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. While he was working with it as assistant, you saw his business skyrocket. So what do you think now that when the second time you hire an assistant, you'll probably do it different?
Well, I wanted to at this time when I did it this time around, I said, screw it, I'm going to fail forward, right? Yeah. I had people in my life around me like, how many people did you interview? You asked me, how many people did you interview? I was like, one. They're like, well, you sure you don't want to talk to some other people? I'm like, no, right? She has real estate background experience. I just need to do this, right? I need to fail forward at this point. So that's what I did. I failed forward, crossing my fingers and hoping it worked out.
Well, I think so many people forget that, when you're hiring an assistant, their job is to do whatever you need so that you can stay on task. It was so funny that I'm coaching someone now and they're interviewing, people. And he's like, I found the perfect person. And then he calls me back. She wants to work from home. I'm like, no. And then she came back with a list of demands for him. And I was just laughing. I'm like, you should be giving her the list of demands of things that you want. It's not her hiring you. You are hiring her. So, I think for all those people hiring assistants, initially that assistant needs to do whatever you need to do to stay on task, whether that's taking dry cleaning, whether that's driving you to an appointment, or that's meeting sellers, whatever helps move the business forward. Because what a lot of assistants don't realize is the more money that you make, the more money that they make. You need to find people that are buying into you because, to me, you're like a stock. You know what I mean? Your stock is right here. And if you look at what you can do over the next 5 to 10 years, I mean, it's like buying Amazon at like $10. You know what I mean? To be able to get in at this stage of your career, I mean, it really is a gift for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it makes sense. Figuring out what you need, that's what I gained the first time around. So I thought I knew what I needed, and then it was just the wrong person. So now this second interview, which I'm working through right now, that process is much more that I've had someone next to me to be able to be like, all right, effectively communicate. Yeah, this is the role, right? This is how we're going to do this, and then hope to find a better suiting person.
So tell me something. If you could go back in time and tell yourself day one 2 or 3 pieces of advice, knowing what you know now, what do you think you would tell them? Because again, there's a lot of new agents or people that are struggling out there. What would be 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you would give them at the beginning of their career?
So beginning of the whole real estate career.
Day one, if you could go back day one and tell yourself 2 or 3 things that you think would propel you to get where you are now a lot faster, what would they be?
Yeah. I'll just tell myself that's going to work out, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to go, like, everyone's bad in the beginning, right? You need to go through the process and learn you gain through competence creates confidence, right? So you need to go through the process. Once I bought some real estate myself, and then that changes the mindset as well. Treating it like a business, right? That took me a long time to realize as well.
I think that's one of the things that I think stops most people from never having the success that they want, is treating it like a business. So how do you treat it like a business now versus how you treated it when you first walked in?
For the first, I started in 2010, we're in 2024. So the first 13 years, right? It was a paycheck, right? It was the next deal. Yeah. It was like, oh, let me save to buy this, one more investment property, whatever. And just recently, it's not anymore. Like once you hire that person, you realize like you have your shoulds that you must do in the business, but then there's like a bazillion shoulds, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the business part of it. That's like what is now really exciting. All the ideas like, oh, I should do this, I should do this, I should do this, but you can't execute on that by yourself.
Correct.
Right. So
people don't realize you can go far by yourself, but you will go so much farther working through people. It's one of the things that I've realized in my own business over the last 5 or 10 years is that the more people you hire in the right places with the right culture, it's just amazing how fast you can grow your business.
Yeah. Just feeling like it's a business, right? It took me a long time to make that mental shift. And I don't know what the sticking block was that caused it and caused the shift to change. But now I realize it's like, all right, this is the Visco store, the Visco group, right? We're going to be doing this. We're going to be here. So might as well stock the shelves and, start treating it as such, right?
Because I think this year when I hear you, I mean, you have a lot more confidence. You just have a calmness about yourself. Tell me a little bit about what's changed in you. Because I think, again, a lot of people, when they get into real estate, there's this uncertainty. But I mean, you this year have become a completely different person in terms of just your confidence and just how you present yourself.
I'm not sure exactly what would be the one cause on it. I shared it. I shared this with you. The one of the additional reasons for not making that hire a couple months back was, I would not be in every day, right? Like you would have misses, like I would have misses, like anyone else. So I was like, you know what? I need to stop everything. So I gave up drinking. Coming up on 90 days.
Wow!
Just before I made that first hire, because I was like, you know what? I cannot slip, right? Like if I'm gonna bring this person into my world, like I cannot go out and have a couple and then show up late, right?
Right.
And I just can't lose the Saturday anymore. I can't lose like family. So I made that shift, and the returns have been pretty substantial. I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see where it takes me.
Let's face it, you just feel better.
Yeah, just feel better. So I don't know. I mean, whatever else the shift has been, I'm not sure per se. Just knowing, just seeing bigger goals and what's possible. I never thought certain income brackets were possible. Like when we started, it was like just want to make the 100K, right? That's it. That's like the end all be all.
Next thing you know, you got 150 pending.
I mean, this year, right? We're on track for a big number. For me, like double last year, and to be able to make a quantum leap to double, right?
The truth is I really believe if you do the things that you're capable of doing, I think you have an opportunity next year to double what you've done this year. I mean, you have to realize something. There's so many people in the next 6 to 12 months that are getting out of real estate.
Yeah.
I was just watching, someone had posted something on social media about any listing agents out there that think that they're going to have buyer agents commissions being paid, like you're in for a rough story. It's just so many people don't understand that that's just such a bad mindset, because people forget that, in real estate, did you ever have to hire a real estate agent to represent you? No. Did you ever have to, if you're for sale by owner, offer a commission to another agent? No. So this whole thing coming up in August, nothing has really changed. The only difference is that instead of putting in the MLS, it has to be on the contract. If you don't offer commissions to buyer agents, there's going to be a consequence in terms of the amount of money you make.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to see this at the highest level. But some of these people that are coaching and teaching people that, oh my God, the world's ending. I mean, they're teaching their clients to go right in the ground, which for people like us, there's never been a better opportunity to have the skills, the systems, and all the things that we're going to do. I really believe that we will have more opportunity because of how coaches out there are training people than we've probably ever had before. And I really mean that. This is an opportunity for people like us that have the skills to actually go out and dominate. So I'm excited for you in the next 6 to 12 months to watch what you do, because I really believe this is your time.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I'm excited to be here with you, and you live in this potential opportunity, right? There's, distraction. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of scare. People are scared about the changes, but people need to buy and sell homes. People need to live somewhere, and we're going to be there to help them. So,
oh no, absolutely. So let me ask you something. Have you thought about in the next 3 to 5 years what you envision your team, your structure, how big of a business you want to get to? Because I know we always kind of talk about, like, what does that look like? Because for me, I think, you have to have a roadmap of kind of where you want to get it. I think you believe that that you can do it. So the question is, now that you can do it, at what level do you think you want to play it at?
Yeah. Right now, where my mindset is, it's not the big team right now. Right now, my mindset is 1 to 2 administrative people, and then one good buyer's agent. A small, lean and mean team. That could change. That vision could change, but right now, that's where I see kind of. I'm not doing it for the ego thing. Let's make $1 million a few years in a row, and then take it from there.
So let me ask you, if some agent was to call you and say, hey, I'm struggling with the market, what would be 2 pieces of advice that you would give them about things they could do in the marketplace to improve their business?
My dad would tell you this. Even when I started, like in 2010, I was like, I always had the mindset it's not the market, right? It doesn't matter what the market is. It matters what you do. So I still believe that to this day. And I would provide, because when I started, the market was, effectively shit, right? Average days on market was 8 to 10 months.
Right.
Prices were a third of what they were. Commission splits were vastly different. But I always believed, like, all right, there's business to be done. So I would just say the same thing to them today. The market may be different, but look how high the sale prices are, right? Look how much potential there is. Look how many, with the changes, people may be getting out of the business. So tell them to just, be optimistic about the potential, and then learn what they need to do to work in this potential.
Yeah. I mean, I've always told everyone, the market does not determine your business or dictate it. It just dictates 3 things: how hard you have to work, how many people you need to talk to every single day, and number 3, the kind of skills that you need. When a market changes, you have to talk to more people, because the more people you talk to, the more people you will find that want to buy and sell. It's a fact of any business. If you want to increase your business, you normally have to increase the amount of people you talk to, but more importantly, you have to increase the value that you add to the marketplace. I tell so many people, when you're working with clients, the goal is not to get that client. The goal is to become the kind of person that those kind of clients want to work with, because then you get everybody. If all you do is you want that one person to work with you, that doesn't really have any value. We want to become the kind of agents that people out there look at and say, I want to be a part of that. I want part of that Aaron. I want to be a part of that culture. I want to be a part of those things, because when you develop that mindset, it doesn't matter what market you're always going to thrive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Become magnetic, right? Like you always say, be playfully confident. So I've been trying to, when you go into a listing appointment, people you want to do business with, people that make them smile and that are confident in their own and what they
don't
do.
realize is that the most important skill in sales is to be playfully confident. I literally was on a listing appointment last night with Kareem, and we're going through the paperwork, and they're like, well, wait a second, Mike, we got, other agents to interview. And I'm like, well, great. When is the next one coming in? And they're like, 10 minutes. And I'm like, great. I say, can I ask you an honest question? Do you actually enjoy talking to real estate agents? Do you really think that we're that fun and exciting to be around? And the wife started laughing, and she's like, I got to be honest, no offense, like, you're boring. And I'm like, you've already talked to 5 agents. Do you really need someone else to come in for 45 minutes and tell you the same thing that you already know? I mean, you got to list it at 1.265, right? Yeah. And you already know that I can sell your property, right? So why don't I text that agent that you've listed the property? I promise I'll be nice. So instead of him coming over and giving you 45 minutes of the same information you have, would it offend you in any way if I gave you 45 more minutes with your family? And the guy was like, are you serious? I'm like, dead serious. Then 8. And I put my phone out, and they gave it to me, and I texted them, and then I waited, and I was like, boop, boop. Thank you, Mike. I'm like, well, that wasn't hard, was it? And it's just funny because when you're playfully confident, you can sit there and smile and say something like that without it being like super awkward. Because the guy literally was like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
And I was leaving the appointment, and I was just like, do you want to give me the other names? I don't mind. And the guy looked at me, and he's like, you like it, don't you? I'm like, I do. I'm not even going to lie. I do. I'm a competitive person, but I also don't want you to have to go through the hassle at the same time. So being playfully confident is the most critical part, and probably the hardest part that a lot of salespeople have, because sales, they're like, oh my God, I got to be here. When the truth is that, when you're playfully confident, you can get away with so many things that otherwise you wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great example of that playful confidence in action, right? There's no better kind of example of that. You just effectively canceled someone else and made them feel good about their life and with a smile on your face the whole time. So,
and honestly, I think that's one of the things in your personality this year that's changed is you have a playfulness in you. You're really starting to embody that part. And when you're more playful, you just get further in conversations. People want to talk to people that are playful. I mean, the world is stressful enough. It's nice to have people that we can just kind of laugh with a little bit and kind of enjoy.
Yeah. In life, right? We're all we're here for a short time and got to enjoy it. So,
well, I appreciate you coming out. I know everyone out there got a lot of value. If anybody wanted to reach out to you directly and contact you, ask you any questions, throw you referrals, again, tell them your market and how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm here in northern New Jersey, Jersey City. It's where the office sits. The phone is 201-232-6493, and it's Aaron Visco at Gmail. So,
great. Well, Aaron, it was great to have you, and I'm so excited to be having the opportunity to coach you and all the great things that are ahead.
Hey, Mike, glad to be here. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.